Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your boy ZenoZT back at it again with part 2 of What If Deku Was a Villain redo. Without further ado, play my intro please. So we start the story by receding or telling you what happened in the last part. Deku was born a quirkless child, where he found difficulties living his life, and the sludge incident did not help him as he was ostracized and belittled by the hero society and people, where he was looked down upon and frowned upon from the heroes, and All Might's yelling and screaming at Deku for his reckless behavior. Although it was heroic, it wasn't the right thing to do. So we jump back into the story. We start the story at the USJ incident, where a portal opens up and a bunch of villains come out, facing the UA students with their mentors 13 and Aizawa, where Aizawa tells the children to stay put and let the heroes or the pros deal with it. Where Aizawa jumps in, he fought valiantly against the villains, taking them down by one, using his erasure quirk to take them down one by one. And the hero 13 was left behind to defend or fend off the attackers from the hero children. So we fight continues on until Kurogiri jumped in front of 13, which he used his ability Portal to use her quirk against her, which is Black Hole, which ended up hurting 13 on a level that haven't been precedented before. Then Kurogiri used his portal quirk to open up a huge portal, sending the student into different areas in the USJ. But this time, they had a plan. That plan was made to take the children into the areas where their quirk wouldn't function as properly, or it was the weakness spot. As the children was sent out there, fending off against the heroes, fending off for themselves, finding no way to find such villains in such a hard way, where the quirk wouldn't be as effective as they should be. But to their last hope was the student Tenya Ida, where he burst out of the USJ running to call up the heroes and All Might for backup. As the time continues, Aizawa took most of the fodder fighter out. Then he came up against a huge bird-like creature, where he was grabbed by it and crushed down as his face hit the ground with a thundering boom. The other students who were left at the entrance looked in horror as they are seeing their teacher getting mangled and beat up to a bloody pulp. As Shigaraki was bantering and talking trash to them, telling them that this creature here is made to take All Might at 100%. Bring him here, bring him to meet his fate. As his voice was seething with venom and hate towards the man that caused him the most pain in his life, the symbol of peace. As Kurogiri returned back towards Shigaraki, as they gathered up there, we hear a thunderous boom as the doors to the USJ got flung open, where a huge shining figure came out of nowhere. But this time it didn't have the smile that it had from before. He was looking angry. He was looking like he wanted blood. As he walked away, as he walked through the USJ, the other children looked at him like he was their savior, their god, if you can say, the one that will take the villains away from them. As he walked down and seeing his friend beaten to a bloody pulp, he rushed, taking the left fodder villains out like they were nothing, like they were pebbles in his road. As he picked up Aizawa and returned to the entrance, putting him down. As Shigaraki gave the order to the Nomu, as the Nomu sprinted towards All Might, as they clashed, as the air pressure was too high and too condensed, that sent the others around them flying. As the battle continued, All Might was using most of his power to fend off against them. No, it was a hard fight, but a winnable fight nonetheless, as the Shigaraki did one wrong move as he started monologuing and telling the hero that the Nomu had shock absorption and shock notification and hyper regeneration and this and that, and All Might took advantage of that, trying to suplex the monster into the ground. But Kurogiri had that plan for that, as he used his portal. As the moment that he slammed the Nomu down, the Nomu grabbed his torso, putting a lot of pressure on the hero's weak spot. As then we hear a crackling voice of ice coming from everywhere, freezing down the Nomu's left side, as the Nomu's left side starting crumbling away, as the hero All Might was left alone, and Bakugo and Todoroki were looking at the Nomu starting to regenerate in a grotesque way that even made them want to vomit what they had for lunch. Sorry about that. The fight continued, and the Nomu was defeated by All Might. And All Might was talking his trash, as always in the anime, trying to scare and trying to play with the villains' minds to make them run away instead of engaging him. He was running out of time. His small might form started appearing as he was talking trash, and then another portal opened up. A well-dressed man came out of the portal and then looked at his surrounding. The USJ. As I can see, my Nomu didn't take care of the situations. He looked around, seeing Kurogiri and Shigaraki, and then ordering Kurogiri. Kurogiri-senpai, would you mind taking our young master away for a moment? As Kurogiri felt a sudden chill run down his spine as Shigaraki started cursing at the new arrival of this mysterious man. Then Kurogiri used his portal, taking the villain away. And then Deku looked around. That was a nice bluff, All Might. It's kind of funny. How far has the mighty fallen? As All Might was looking intently at the figure. The figure had a mask that covered his face. He was well dressed with a bow tie in his neck, and he was having this aura around him, a dangerous aura, as the doors flung open again as the other heroes came around to see All Might standing against, I would say, a 15 years old kid. He was pretty built, he was pretty formal, but he had this aura about him. It was suffocating to the kids around them, and it was overwhelming and overbearing on the pro heroes as they looked. As the hero sniped, grabbed his magnum as he aimed towards the villain and shot multiple shots as the shots were running through the air, piercing the air and gaining velocity as they neared around him, and then they dropped down. As the heroes around them looked in shock, what can his quirk be? What is his quirk? As some close ranger fighters jumped in, like Ectoplasm, Doghound, and other heroes jumped to intercept the hero. Seeing their friend, seeing All Might in that state, they knew that this situation was bad. As they looked around and they jumped to fight him, but Deku snapped his hand. As the heroes started feeling sluggish, as they started going down until they were engulfed by a mysterious sludge around them. Then, with another slap of the finger, they were out of there. As All Might screamed, "What have you done?" As the villain said, "No worries, All Might. I would much prefer to have a one-on-one talk with you. It would be pretty easy taking you down now, but watching you suffer would be a million times better, don't you think?" As All Might started getting this feeling that he knows this person, as the villain right next to him told him, "Don't you remember me, All Might? Don't you remember the boy that was crushed beneath your heels?" Guess Yes, let me refresh your memory as he took away his mask, revealing his face only to All Might, as in horror looked All Might towards the kid, seeing bags under his eyes and a sadistic smile planted on his face, and only thought that ran through his mind was, what happened? Why? Why is he here? What happened to him? As the words from the villain's mouth came out. Not everyone can be a hero, All Might, but everyone can be a villain. I learned that after you denied me my dreams. As he put back his mask and strolled away, and then with a last glance he looked at them, snapping his finger, teleporting 5 children that were captured by the villains and the rest of the fodder villains that were kept conscious. He teleported them away and then looked at the UA staff and kids. We'll be meeting UA once again. See you later. As he teleported once again from the surrounding area, landing at a bar right next to Kurogiri and Shigaraki, which Shigaraki tried to pounce on Deku until an intercom voice came from the TV. Young Shigaraki, calm yourself. Shigaraki looked at him. Master, but who is this? As his raspy voice echoed through the bar. I would let him introduce himself first, said All for One, until Izuku Midoriya said, from now on, I'll be your left hand. Get that, senpai? My name is Deku. As he fixed his figure and he stood up tall right next to the villains, throwing his hand for a shake with Shigaraki, but Shigaraki scoffed at the fact that his master sent a babysitter towards him, until Izuku disappeared once again, appearing in a laboratory with a small figure with a weird voice. He was, yeah. I'm sorry about this. I'm gonna take this out or I'm gonna leave it. His voice is such a fucking. Right next to a doctor and said, 5 new test subjects you brought me here, kid. And Izuku said, they're not your test subjects, you get that? As the doctor scoffed, I would see what you do with them. I wonder what you have in store for them. After all, you impressed the master with your USJ Nomu. As Izuku said, I also retrieved that one. He was a bit weak and needed more work. As the doctor said, oh, that is kind of interesting you. As Deku went to his desk, as he pulled out many of his notebooks, as he started writing down what happened, writing down on the quirks of the people that attacked him, thinking that he will come up with plans for each and every one of the 5 kids that were kidnapped in this incident. This was his beginning, the beginning of the new age of the villains. As the doctor looked at the kid with intent eyes, as he was thinking, we hit the jackpot with this one, the perfect specimen. As then we jump back into a talk between the doctor and All for One, as they were chatting about this new arrival of Izuku Midoriya. As the doctor said, wonderful, we never thought of that, huh? As All for One said, explain, doctor. As the doctor said, we always try to use people with quirks on the Numu experiments. That's why we always come back with failures. But this kid has endless potential, you see. His body is not suffocated or held back by the quirk. You can say that quirks are like a chalice filled with water. Try dumping more water into it, and it will flow, causing the body and the mind to break down. But this kid right here has endless potential. His chalice is empty, and you can fill it as you wish. Then we jump into the experiments that were done on Izuku's body, surgeries, training. It was grueling. It was pushing him towards death and bringing him back. It was hell on earth for the little kid as his personality twisted, as he found joys in the experiments that were done on him. As with time he started experimenting on people until all for one noticed that the kid has a knack for creating things, as he supplied him with endless quirks and endless people to run his mock experiments on. And the first fruit that bare from the tree was the USJ Noble. It wasn't on par but with All Might, but it was stable, which gave the doctor and the villain such a huge grins and smiles to run on their faces. This kid will lead the revolution of the villains. As we jump back into our normal timeline where Deku is walking around the lab looking around the tubes, there were five kids, one shorter than average person with grapes for hair, and another with blonde hair, a blonde spiky hair with a black mark on it, and another one with a red hair that looked familiar to one of the old time heroes, and the other two were, I'm gonna choose other two. One was brown haired with a bit of muscle to him, and one was Coda, the animal speaker. Whatever. Caesar. Fuck it. Caesar, the dog whisperer. Fuck me. Goddamn. As he was looking at them intently, trying to fight the sludge that was consuming them and the bodily fluid, as they were slamming their hands on the test tubes as they couldn't get out, as their modifications started taking place, as they will start losing their minds to the operation. As the time continues, months after months, the heroes search to new avails, but they couldn't stop what they are doing. They prepared for the the UA entrance exam as Deku scoffed at them. What kind of idiotic decision was that? Trying to show off that they can still stand strong, are they? Stupid they are. They should have taken a low place, not showing their students' quirks to us and broadcasting it live. What a stupid rodent, he said, meaning Nezu. As his time was continued with with the League of Villains, a new arrival to the scene popped up. It was Stain, the hero killers. His name was all around the news. He was taking the fame from the League of Villains. As one time, Deku was ordered by Shigaraki to bring this Stain guy here. We need to have a talk with this vanquisher of heroes. We need to have a chat. As Deku started doing his research and finding the exact location after months of search for this, weeks of search for this hero killer Stain, he found him as he opened once a portal to find the hero killer at the end of injuring one of the heroes named Ingenium, taking his legs off, taking the ability of walking from him. As Izuku walked right up to the hero killer, but the hero killer's abilities and senses did not usher anything, as he grabbed his katana and swung backward, landing it right on the neck of Izuku, then looking at him. What do you want? As Izuku looked at him, I want to talk. As the hero killer said, spit it out then. Our young master demands an audience with you. As Stain said, Why would I do that, huh? As Izuku said, we need to talk. Our goals are similar, and our young master wishes to have a talk with you. As the hero killer looked at him, and what if I refuse? As he grabbed his katana and looked at Izuku in the eyes, would you be ready to lay your life here for that villain? As the hero killer Stain tried to swing his sword, but it stopped mid swing and then looked at Deku. You would come with me, willingly or unwillingly. As he snapped his fingers, landing at the villain's bar or hideout, as you wanna call it, and then they looked around them as the hero killer was prepared to have a fight with, prepared to have an ensuing battle in the bar. Then looked at the boy right in front of him, looking at Shigaraki and Kurogiri. Now calm down. As Shigaraki was sitting down on a stool in the bar, and Kurogiri was preparing him a drink. And then Izuku talked to the hero killer. Calm down, Stain. We are only here to talk, not to do battle. As they looked at each other. Now this is our young master, Shigaraki-kun, and this is Kurogiri. I would leave you two to have a little chat. It's not my place to overhear this kind of discussions. As Shigaraki said, you better do. As Izuku and Kurogiri went out of the room. As time passed and talks between the two got it heated up as the bar was destroyed in their ensuing battle. As Shigaraki was using his decay to try and touch the hero killers, and Stain trying to slash and tear at the villain, but at the last moment before he could make the last hit towards Tomura Shigaraki, Deku appeared, grabbing the knife by the tip of his fingers. I wouldn't advise you to do that. Stain looked at him and scoffed. Why would you interfere? As Deku said coldly in a monotone voice, the master would be disappointed. As the hero killer looked towards Shigaraki and said, you got yourself a deal, villain, but at one condition. And Shigaraki scoffed at him, and what that might be, Stain. As Stain replied, I want this kid by my side for the foreseeable future. He had this aura towards him that shows that never mind, you wouldn't understand it even if I told it to you. As Izuku was intrigued by the words of the hero killer and then looked and questioning towards Shigaraki. So, boss, what do you say? As Shigaraki looked at him intently and said, do as he say, and then come back. As Shigaraki was ecstatic to have this new partner in crime with him. As the story continues, I'm gonna be stopping this part right here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this was kind of rushed, and I made it because it's been a while since I last made a video about in this channel about. Without further ado, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment down below, subscribe for more and more interesting what ifs. It's been your boy Xenon ZT or the My Hero What If, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Peace.